me.
I'm pretty sure this thing.
Jesus Christ, you psycho! You
Shut up, you
fucking ass!
Stop right now! Chevy, out! Don't feed coke to the animals, Chevy!
Behind the laughter and iconic sketches that defined early SNL lurked a rivalry so intense it occasionally erupted on screen. Long before they became household names, John Belushi and Chevy Chase were locked in a complex relationship fueled by clashing egos, contrasting backgrounds, and fundamentally different approaches to comedy. What began as a professional competition quickly evolved into something more personal. While audiences at home witnessed the brilliant comedic timing that made both men stars, few realized the genuine animosity brewing backstage. The collision of comedic worlds.
Last week we made a comment that March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. Now here to reply is our chief meteorologist, John Belushi, with a seasonal report.
Thank you, Chevy. Well, another winter is almost over, and March, true to form, has come in like a lion and hopefully will go out like a lamb. At least that's how March works here in the United States. But did you know that March behaves differently in other countries? Norway, for example, March comes in like a polar bear and goes out like a walrus.
The roots of the antagonism between John Belushi and Chevy Chase ran deeper than mere professional rivalry. It was a fundamental clash of backgrounds and comedic philosophies. Chase emerged from a privileged upbringing that informed his sophisticated, sometimes arrogant comedy style. His humor relied on intellect and wit, often with a superior attitude that made audiences laugh while maintaining a certain distance. In stark contrast, Belushi embodied blue-collar comedy, raw, physical, and unrestrained. His approach rejected pretension and embraced chaos, appealing to those who appreciated genuine, visceral humor. While Chase crafted clever wordplay and maintained a polished facade, Belushi hurled his entire being into performances, using his body and emotional range without reservation. These divergent styles reflected their personalities off-camera as well, showing a distinct division in how each viewed the world. According to those who worked with both comedians, Chase maintained an air of sophistication that sometimes translated as condescension. He reportedly claimed responsibility for, quote, making Belushi fit for civilized company by teaching him how to eat with a fork. Such comments, whether meant as jokes or not, underscored the fundamental differences in their personalities and approaches to life, revealing an underlying tension that often simmered beneath the surface of their interactions. Belushi, meanwhile, made no attempt to hide his disdain for what he perceived as Chase's inauthenticity and privilege. While Chase presented himself as the consummate professional, Belushi embraced his rough edges and resisted any pressure to conform to more conventional standards of comedy. This authenticity resonated deeply with audiences who valued honesty in performance. Their relationship was further complicated by genuine moments of friendship interspersed with their rivalry. As Belushi's widow Judith later explained, John and Chevy were always antagonistic and friends. It was a love-hate kind of thing. They worked together well when they were trying to. This complex dynamic created a bittersweet tension that would follow them throughout their careers, fueling their creative performances while also presenting challenges that sometimes threatened to derail their joint endeavors. Despite the ups and downs, the interplay of their contrasting styles left a lasting impact on the world of comedy and showcased the unique chemistry that characterized their professional lives. Pre-SNL Battlegrounds. The antagonism between Belushi and Chase began years before either man set foot in Studio 8H. Their rivalry first took place during their tenure with National Lampoon Lemmings, an off-Broadway production that parodied Woodstock. The 1973 show served as a launching pad for both comedians, but it was Belushi who emerged as the breakout star, receiving significantly more critical acclaim than Chase, a fact that established an early pattern of competition between them. The tension escalated later that same year when National Lampoon expanded into radio. Both comedians coveted the position of creative director for the National Lampoon Radio Hour, seeing it as an opportunity to shape the direction of cutting-edge comedy. When Belushi won the coveted role, relegating Chase to a regular cast member without creative control, the rivalry intensified. For Belushi, this victory confirmed his comedic instincts and leadership abilities. For Chase, it represented a professional setback that he wouldn't soon forget. By the time Lorne Michaels began assembling talent for his revolutionary late-night comedy show in 1975, the competitive dynamic between Belushi and Chase was already firmly established. Both men arrived at SNL carrying this baggage, their relationship defined by a mixture of mutual respect for each other's talents and deep-seated resentment. What made the rivalry particularly potent was that both men had exceptional but distinctly different gifts as performers. Chase was great at physical comedy and had a natural charisma that translated well on camera. His good looks and polished delivery made him immediately accessible to mainstream audiences. Belushi, meanwhile, brought an explosive energy, a fearless commitment to characters that made him impossible to ignore. Their competing desires for the spotlight created an environment where collaboration was possible but always had competition. Producer Dick Ebersol later recalled how their history followed them onto the SNL set, with each man constantly aware of the other's success. The SNL Spotlight. When Saturday Night Live premiered in October 1975, no one could have predicted how quickly the show would become a cultural phenomenon, or how dramatically it would affect the already tense relationship between Belushi and Chase. As SNL gained popularity, it became increasingly clear that Chase was emerging as the breakout star. His recurring roles, particularly as the anchor of Weekend Update and his iconic pratfalls as Gerald Ford, resonated strongly with viewers. The media quickly anointed Chase as the show's leading man. New York Magazine featured him on its cover, declaring him the heir apparent to Johnny Carson. Time Magazine went even further, crowning him the funniest man in America. For Chase, who had been overshadowed by Belushi at National Lampoon, this recognition represented a vindication of his talents and approach to comedy. For Belushi, however, watching Chase receive disproportionate attention was infuriating. Despite his own innovative characters and commitment to his performances, Belushi felt marginalized. He openly complained about the quality of material he was given, famously declaring, quote, "They throw me bones dogs wouldn't chew on." While Chase delivered sophisticated punchlines from behind the Weekend Update desk, Belushi often found himself consigned to more physical, sometimes degrading roles that he felt didn't showcase his full range of talents. This imbalance of attention created a toxic dynamic behind the scenes. Producer Dick Ebersol observed that Belushi was, quote, "radically pissed off because he sees Chevy running away with the show. Now it's going to be all about Chevy. On stage, John had to be the star, not Chevy." This sentiment was shared by other cast members who witnessed the growing tension. As Chase's popularity increased, cast members noted a corresponding change in his attitude. Jane Curtin later recalled, "When he entered the room changed, so it made sense that he would be the face. But then the face got a little big. It became a really big face, which ticked a lot of people off. John wanted to be the face, and other people wanted to be the face. It was tense when that happened." Writers and cast members observed that Chase became increasingly difficult to work with as his star rose. One writer noted, "The more famous he got, the more he pulled into himself. When he was hungry, he was more of a team player." Chase reportedly began talking down to colleagues, treating SNL as his personal vehicle rather than the collaborative effort it was designed to be. While many cast members expressed their frustrations privately, Belushi made no effort to hide his growing contempt. Boiling points.
Billy jumped up from this couch they were sitting on, lounging on, and charged me at the door. And I immediately got into a fight stance, which is, I boxed a lot, and I didn't. So I had no problem with fights. I was ready to level him, and he was probably ready to scratch me up.
The tension eventually became impossible to contain. Their antagonism manifested in subtle jabs and more dramatic confrontations. From day one, Belushi found ways to needle Chase. When Belushi first arrived at SNL, he reportedly walked into Chase's office, pointed out a picture of Chase's girlfriend on his desk, and crudely remarked, "Oh, you have one of those too? You've got the regular one. I've got the one with the donkey dick." The most visible manifestation of the feud occurred when SNL returned from its summer break on July 24, 1976. During the cold open, cast members greeted each other warmly, discussing their time off. Then Belushi appeared, sauntering onto the stage in a white suit and sunglasses, a not-so-subtle mockery of Chase's Hollywood persona. After greeting the other cast members, Belushi turned to Chase and delivered what appeared to be an olive branch. "Listen, Chevy, I've been thinking about what I said. We've been together a long time, friends a long time, and I don't think that should stop us from being friends." What followed was a comedic bit involving an increasingly complex series of high fives that culminated with Belushi punching Chase in the face, sending him flying off the stage. While presented as comedy, it served as a thinly veiled expression of the genuine hostility between them. Now it's time to hear from you. Which of these comedy legends do you think had the greater impact on comedy? Let us know in the comments section below.